I drive an Audi.
Drive an Audi?
A downward Audi. Not the upward Audi, the downward Audi.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay. So
It is under the Volkswagen umbrella, if I remember correctly.
oh, okay. Well, we're not going to wait for the countdown to finish up. We're just going to jump right into it.
Yes.
So let's do that. So yeah, countdown looks great. Countdown looks fine. About 10 seconds behind, but we'll see how that rolls. And here we go.
Here we go.
Hello, internet.
Hello.
So
Pretty faces right here. At least over there. My face might wreck something, but that one's pretty great.
Kideki.
Greatness in the neighborhood.
Alrighty. So yeah, got lost in that translation. See how the chat's going. Mayflower, Shadster, Gitmatari, Glenn, how is everyone doing?
Howdy ho, howdy ho ho ho.
2021. Sorry we're a little late. We were supposed to do this last week. However, things happen.
Yep.
Things do happen, so we are going with that.
We switched sides.
Well, we did that for a reason, Glock, because before, when we were on the other sides, if we were to turn to look at each other, we'd be turning to look at the opposite direction.
You know,
Now,
we kind of look goofy.
When we turn to look at each other, we actually see each other.
I see you. I see you.
I see you.
I see you. I see you. I see him. I see him. You know.
Oh man, I missed you guys. I missed having Rye here. I missed streaming. I missed being just on the interwebs. It's amazing.
Onward. Yes.
You know, a year of streaming, and when you take a few weeks off because you think you need a mental break, and then coming back to it, and it's like, I miss doing this.
Yes, it is wonderful to talk to you people out there.
Glory.
To be the geeks on here.
Yes.
What you thought? No copyright here. Not gonna hit with the copyright.
I'll do it. Okay, clicked a button, did weird things.
Weirdness is in my blood.
Yeah. So, 2021, here we are. Let's cover some info, let's cover some basics, and let's get into it.
Hardy hard.
Already getting a face palm right off the bat. Jeez.
Yeah, it's okay. I am a walking face palm. Doo.
All right, so yeah, we're now going to be doing Scuba and The RY here on YouTube. Not going to be doing it on Twitch anymore.
The YouTubes.
Kind of working on those decisions, and it was made as like, let's try something different. Let's try for something different, because Twitch has been having issues, so we're gonna go start migrating stuff over. If you caught me a couple weeks ago for Sunday with Scoob, I talked a little bit about that and worked on a miniature. Last week, unfortunately, I had a friend pass away.
Yes.
So last week got thrown all kinds of crazy because had to help out the family with that, deal with all of those things that come with this. So last week we were supposed to do a podcast, but last week I went over to kind of help with the family, and what I thought would be only a couple hours ended up being 5 and then some, and it was just last week just ended up being a wash in a lot of sense. So this week we're going to be kind of moving forward and seeing with that. Question from Glenn. No, we streamed on YouTube a couple of times in the past as a co-stream. First Sunday after New Year's, January 2nd, January 3rd. January 3rd, it was first YouTube stream for under the new kind of Scuba Studio stuff. And it was that evening that I found out that my friend had passed. So yeah, loads of fun. But everything's good with that. Couple other things with this is spent some work on Patreon. So want to support the studio and whatnot, revitalize the Patreon, hence the little that way. It's over there. Little button over there, it says Patreon. No, the other way, Ryan.
Oh.
The other way. Yeah, see,
There we go.
now we're
I
pointing
got
at it. Yeah.
Not goofy.
Get hooked up on Patreon. Should be a link here in the description below. Check that out. You want to support us that way, versus which would be great. Have some new perks and some things going on there. One of those is I'm actually looking at doing a Patreon only giveaway here in a few weeks. Still working out the details, but I do know the item will be a Patreon giveaway. And I have some other stuff we'll be doing through some of the other shows at later points. Also, another big development as far as the studio stuff and the gaming related stuff is set up the World Anvil account to kind of track the D&D games that we've been doing. The world is now called Kofin, and if you're a member of our Discord, the Scuba Studio Discord, there's actually a channel for World Anvil updates, and in there is a link to Kofin, so you can check that out. Be able to check out some of the lore that we're putting together for the characters and the world and living, and kind of have it all interconnected together as we're working on that. So more updates on that as we get to it. It's actually really kind of fun crafting that world and actually taking all of these things that I've talked about in conversation with other people and actually putting it pen to paper. And of course, Shadster right on the ball with the link to World Anvil.
Boom.
A big shout out to the moderators, Mayflower, Shadster. You guys are awesome. Thank you for coming on board and keeping me sane or driving me crazy, depending on which conversation we have at the time.
It works in the end.
It does.
That's all that matters.
It really does. So all the great stuff there. Yeah, also up for the Shadow Watch will be back this Saturday. I know you guys missed it.
Yes.
I know you want to check it out. You want to find out what happens with that fight they got into. Will Shrag turn himself into something else other than a potted plant? Will the party survive against the Driders? Will they find the deep gnomes that have been captured?
What will they do?
We don't know.
I
We'll
don't know
find
either.
out on Saturday morning, 10 a.m.
Saturday morning, people.
So that one will be on Twitch for a little while longer as we get through a couple of transitions. So you should still be able to go check us out on twitch.tv/Scuba Studio, 10 a.m. Saturday morning, to find out what happens to Shadow Watch as they continue their journeys into the Underdark. And you'll be able to check out more lore of the various characters of Shadow Watch on the World Anvil page. So, hey, it's going to be fun. It's going to be glorious. That's going to be my word. It's going to be glorious.
Glorious, people.
Today's word is glorious, people.
Brought to you by Scuba and this guy, Rye guy. Guy?
Yep.
Yeah.
Also have another update for you. Challenge Accepted Season 3 is coming. It will be showing up on the 23rd, Saturday the 23rd at 8 p.m. Eastern. Still not sure if I'm going to put that one on YouTube or it's going to go or it's going to continue on Twitch. I have a feeling we will be going YouTube because it's a new season and a good start. And just finish that migration off of Twitch onto YouTube for all of the shows. There are some discussion with that, which we will get into a little later in State of Game or conversation wise.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, shout out for Stream Beats because we're listening to those wonderful lo-fi tunes today.
Skadoosh.
We can get into what's been happening. Right.
What has been happening?
It's been like forever, man.
Yeah, it's been a couple years. A year went by. Wink,
Maybe in
wink.
internet terms, but
Wink,
let's go with real life here.
Real life. Yeah, it's been a fun and wonderful, change of pace. Relaxing because I'm down for a while from school, but the next semester starts next week, so I'm gonna be ramping up on that stuff again. Busy as always at work. The life of a trainer. Training or in training or development. Just hit that triangle button and you're in one end or the other. Lots of movies watched in that time.
Which we're not all going to cover tonight. We're actually going to put little short videos of those reviews.
Yeah.
Trying something new with with movie reviews in a shorter form.
Yeah.
Content that we can get out and kind of mixing it up.
Yeah. I'll do the most recent ones and a top 10
A top 10
in review.
Yes.
Try to figure out my number one, people, while we get to it. But other than that, I did save it for state of game. Lots of game playing. I did decide to play a newer game today. Just get it in because, installs are huge. So I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and put this disc in so it can do its updates and installs. Other than that, nothing else really major going on.
What did you get for Christmas?
Oh, Christmas? I don't really ask for anything. I always like I just want to just spend time and chill. Lots of gift cards, lots of Packer memorabilia because I'm a big Green Bay Packers fan. We're gonna win this weekend. Let's go. That's it, and just kind of relax. New Year's Eve, same thing. Kind of relax on the couch. Drank a lot of hard ciders because that's my favorite drink. So that was a good time. And then had my car inspected and some service done to it, and it's a Volkswagen, so it costs a pretty penny. So other than that, everything else is good.
Yeah, well, at least it's not like a Mercedes.
Yeah, it is too. And it's still German engineering, but not one of those German engineered vehicles. So it's still, and thank goodness for warranties. That's all I'm going to say. Warranties are your best friend, people. Extend them if you can. Other than that, working my way through the Robin Williams biography. I am definitely enjoying everything I'm reading in it. It's not your typical, just like the Elton John biography. It's very raw, open. You get to learn his life in all its glory, both the good and the bad. And even though I know I'm getting close to what happens to him at the end, you start to get an understanding of a lot of things in his life of what led up to that.
Interesting.
But it's a really good read, and I'm looking forward to finishing it so I can start another book. Try to get another one before school starts, but once school starts, that kind of falls out of the wayside.
Oh, well. I'm going to be having a lot of reading material myself.
Oh,
for
yes.
A variety of things.
Yes. A variety of things that showed up today before this cast.
Yeah, but
let's see. That's it. Nothing else going on. Just trying to hopefully this year, hopefully the COVID's passed so I can cash in on some of the vacations that I had planned from last year. So
it'd be nice to see that.
That's it. That's all I got.
For me, it was stop the active streaming and get right into working on various things to try and push the needle forward in 2021. World Anvil making the shift from Twitch to YouTube and all of those things, which are great.
Yes.
The Patreon was a lot of fun to get set up. They got a lot of nice new people there. And trying to think about, okay, how to handle doing X, Y, and Z with that Switch. And then, of course, it was Christmas, which I got a bunch of Christmas Village things from my mom, which is cool because I kind of got into collecting Christmas Village stuff. I've got quite a bit. I think I have like 2 or 3 50-gallon containers. Those black and yellow HDX totes you can get at Home Depot, the big 55-gallon joints. I've got 2 of them full of Christmas Village stuff. So one of the things I'm thinking about for the summer is getting my shop to a point I can start working on building boards and setting up the Christmas Village as a collapsible table setup.
That'll be pretty awesome.
Could put all of the village stuff. I've got so many crazy things. And to be honest, it was kind of one of those gateways that got me into terrain crafting, because it would be like, I want to get this. And sometimes when you get an eclectic collection of buildings, you got some big buildings and small buildings. So now I'm thinking like perspective. The smaller buildings are obviously further away than the bigger ones. How do you set that up? So watching several of the terrain things, it's like, I think I'm going to build a big Christmas diorama type thing. So I'll probably start working on that. I'm The plan is to start working on those boards in July, because I know it's going to take a while to sort out how the village is going to look, the various pieces on there. I know one item I'm still trying to figure out how to pull off is I want to do a Christmas aircraft carrier, because my dad served on an aircraft carrier for when he was active duty, and I really enjoy aircraft carriers.
Yeah,
I think they're phenomenal pieces of tech.
it is. They are.
And I like the idea of having an aircraft carrier in the same scale as the Christmas village, and then to do like a Santa and the reindeer on one of the catapults, like getting ready to launch for Christmas. Like he just did a stopover and then is launching again. So a little weird, little goofy, but I've seen different versions of this in like ornament form, but
Yeah.
to scale it up to 28mm scale, or something equivalent to that, is a challenge. And it's kind of hard to find a modern I mean, when you look at like model kits for military craft, they're at certain scales and they're all about the realism. Well, Christmas villages, they're not so much about the realism, but that kind of warm feeling of the holiday. So it's a bit of a challenge. I mean, I've thought about putting together a wooden model. I've thought about finding a plastic model and kit bashing it a little bit. Who knows? Maybe at some point somebody's found a way to 3D print them, and there's maybe a 3D print STL that I can get my hands on and talk to a buddy of mine's dad who has a 3D printer. I don't know.
Yeah, it might happen.
So we will see how that goes. So that stuff came in. I got some painting stuff from family members as well, and then it was my kids got stuff, so they had a good Christmas. We had a chill Christmas. I did my marathons that I always do, The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings extended editions, because no other editions matter.
Yes, that is true. You're not watching the truth without the extended editions.
And I did get a TV series that I've been meaning to watch, and it was on sale, so I picked up the entire series of How I Met Your Mother.
That is a good series to pick up. That's what I've heard.
So I picked that up, so I'm looking forward to watching it. And then, of course, my son turned 18.
Uh-oh. Noggin.
Yeah. I've got an 18-year-old kid. How crazy is that?
That's what time does.
I know.
Yeah.
It's scary.
It's so scary.
But no, I'm proud of him. Overall, I am proud of him. There are times kids, teenagers, you just want to because they're kids.
You just want to go,
But he is getting. Overall, though, he's not a bad kid. It's just there are times, patience is a little short. And again, what? Yes, Mayflower.
Yes, very true.
Just a little one.
Just a little bit.
But and of course, all the stuff last week with a friend passing away and all of that shenanigans. So
yeah, it's an up and down affair, but it
is.
You lay down, you wake up, take in the good, and keep moving forward.
Yes, we take in the good, we keep moving forward. We find ways to remember and cherish those memories, and keep going. So lots of great things. I've got more project videos I'm actually going to do, because I'm dialing back a lot of things I was spread too thin on.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have more content, and I've been working on an idea for as far as like what's my goal, what's my mission with this, and it came kind of boiled down to Scuba Studio exists to explore games, craft stories, and make things. So
makey.
we're gonna, interchange that. We explore, we craft, and we make. So everything we do, we're exploring movies by exploring those stories, exploring games by talking about our games, crafting stuff, painting miniatures. That is going to be the content that is on Scuba Studio. That is the plan. So that is our focus. That is where all the good things happen. And of course, if you are a shameless plug on the Patreon, you'll be getting some kind of behind the scenes stuff as we further develop that. So join us there and have our fun there.
Yes, sir.
So with that, I think we're good on the what's up. Nice to see everybody sticking around so far.
Thank you all.
Let's get into our movie reviews.
All right, a duo.
Hmm.
Which one shall be first?
I don't know. We're gonna find out.
And the screen says,
Green says nothing.
oh,
We're gonna start with our top 10 with the top 10 of 2020.
the swerve.
Rye, you sit there. Now, all this stuff is from ryreviews.com, all one word. You check out all the various reviews Rye does there. He's done several in the couple of weeks that we've been down for celebrating the holidays. So see more. A few of them I managed to catch, so I'll be able to give my input on a few things. But periodically throughout the year, Rye does these top 10s, top 5s of the things, and here we have our top 20 for 2020, or top 10 for 2020. So Rye, take it away.
Top 10 for 2020. So like Scuba said, thank you. I always put out top 10 lists. I have a mid-season best of 5, not in a particular order, but by the end of the year, that's when I throw the order up. So every year since I've been doing my website, I've always given my top 10 of the previous year. And 2020, regardless of the up and down affair, the theaters being closed for half the year, it did not stop the train of the movies coming in. So what it did was expand the more opportunities to see films. And I think this is probably one of the most elaborate lists I've came up with so far.
Elaborate or eclectic?
Yeah, that's a better word. Eclectic list. Because the way I describe this top 10 list is that because of the variety of ways that films ventured out into the streaming world, it gave access to more films that, for me, who is a film fan that cherish a lot of different kind of films, access is limited for a lot of things in this area. But with everything going to streaming, I got access to a lot of the more story driven, the more accoladed films, and a variety of different ones that I probably would have not gotten to, maybe not till months down the road, or whenever I could find the Blu-ray behind a Blu-ray at the store. But in any case, every top 10 list starts with honorable mentions. So I'm gonna run quick through the honorable mentions, and there's 5. One, which was me and Scuba's, one of our favorites from earlier in the year, is Jojo Rabbit. That film is a wonderful treat. It is a very good black comedy, and it makes you kind of cherish the Nazis in a way.
No, it doesn't.
No, not really, but
no. This is Taika Waititi, Scarlett Johansson. I mean, this is complete satire, slapstick hilarity that we've come to know and cherish from Taika Waititi. So yeah, that's an honorable mention.
Yeah.
What's the next one?
Next one is one that I watched later in the year, recently in December, and reviewed, Mank, the latest from David Fincher, the one that basically encompasses old school Hollywood in his retelling of how Citizens Kane was made. A great treat for anybody that's fan of old school Hollywood.
Okay. Next one.
Tenet, Christopher Nolan's next masterpiece. It was an
honorable mention.
Yes, it's an honorable mention because there was a lot of other better films that came out last year other than that one. I did say better. It's a very mind-trippy experience, which is no exception for any Nolan film, but it's one where it's an imaginative roller coaster ride. It does get kind of dense at parts, and it does stop the lore and the intrigue, but overall still a wonderful film. Next is Mulan, live action adaptation of Mulan, which was, I think, a very great interpretation of the animated classic. It hit a lot of road bumps because of the way, it did its premiere access, but even after that, and, everybody got a taste of it later, you get to see that it's a genuine trip of strength, family, and hope. And the last honorable mention, which I was tug of war on this making the top 10 or not, but I made an honorable mention, and that's the film experience of Hamilton. I am one that enjoys a good stage play, and this experience of a stage play, even in film format, encompasses everything that I would want to find in a musical. Great song, great dance, great story, great character, great things overall, but just missed the top 10.
All right, so starting with our top 10, number 10 is
The Life Ahead, and this is one I appreciated and I know Scuba loved a lot. It's a Netflix original, an Italian film, and it focuses on a old woman relationship with this young kid off the streets.
That's right. I watched this one. This one was the this was the Italian film. This was actually, this is one of those ones that the dub is worse
Yes,
than
and
the
I
sub.
did, and I did warn Scuba this. I told him to go back and watch it, subbed.
I've only seen a few foreign films in their native language, and this one is great. There's I think the story is much better in the original language than trying to hear in the English dub. This one's on Netflix, right? Yeah, Netflix original.
Yeah, it's a Netflix original, which you're going to notice that in a lot of these picks.
Okay, so if you have a Netflix account, you can probably catch most of the things on this list.
Oh, yeah.
Number 9.
Number 9 is The Trial of the Chicago 7, and this is written and directed by dang, my mind is slipping me right now. I had it.
Aaron
Sorkin. Aaron Sorkin, writer director Aaron Sorkin did this film, and it's another wonderful, great look at craftsmanship and also capturing the heart and soul of telling a true story, but with an ensemble cast that is eclectic in its own right. I definitely see a lot of awards going up on this one, not nominated and stuff, especially for Sacha Baron Cohen in his role.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Number 8.
Number 8 is The Vast of Night. This is one that we watched earlier in the year, right about when new films started to trickle back out, and it was one of those bright spots in a sea of unknown. It combined a period piece within what I call tactical surrealism, because it was a sci-fi film, but one that was a slow burn and is very methodical and focused on specific characters and just the heat of the moment of what that night entailed.
All right. I remember catching this one too. I really liked the period element with this.
Yes.
And I love, and it was just great because it was that the camera shots, the flow of the story just kept going, and it was really nice, and
Yep.
it felt like it was a great fun to watch.
Oh yeah, Vast of Night. If you want to catch it, Scott, it's on Amazon Prime. It's one of the Amazon originals. And Trial of the Chicago 7 is another Netflix original.
All right, number 7.
Number 7 was one of the films I got to see in theaters, and it's called Yellow Rose. And this movie was a great indie film that combined family coming of age and music into a tale of perseverance. It focused on a very strong issue in America today because it focused on immigration, but did it in a way that was very very focused on character and a sign of hope. And one of those things where I love it when an indie film shines above all, and definitely with theaters being very thin, it definitely got the limelight.
All right, number 6.
Number 6 is pretty much just what I call a guilty pleasure film. Sometimes the heart of the journey is not is in the emotional rush of the medium, and that is Extraction, another Netflix original starring Chris Hemsworth, and it was straight up action. Adrenaline rush from beginning to end. This is a film made by one of the people that did the Avengers films.
Yeah, this was produced by the Russo brothers and directed by Sam Hargrave.
Yes, and the action in this film is so top notch. It just shows you how great, action will rise above its material.
All right, number 5.
Number 5, another Netflix original. You're seeing the trend here. The Five Bloods. It's a film directed and written by Spike Lee. And I like Spike Lee, a lot of his tales, he has a very unique spin to all of the stuff he does, but this one is no exception, and it's one of his best to date. And it focuses on a group of men who go back to Vietnam to rekindle not their personal experiences, but also find a way to bring closure to some of the harshness in their friendship. One of the strongest ensemble casts outside of Trial of Chicago 7, and one of Chadwick Boseman's last roles. One of them.
All right, number 4.
Number 4 is The Way Back. I think this is on demand somewhere, but this is a movie starring Ben Affleck, and it's a different kind of a feel-good story. and it takes the generalities of what you expect in a feel-good story and flips it on its head and focuses on the rawness of a tale of redemption, and one where a person has to face the music and acknowledges the truth of his own flaws. And I think it's Ben Affleck's best actorial role to date.
All right. Number three,
another Netflix original, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. This is one of a stage play adapted to big screen. And one thing about stage plays is try to capture the magic of a stage play within a film experience, and this film does it extensively. At the heart of the film are the main actors and actresses, Viola Davis and Chadwick Boseman. They carry this film. They do a great job of mixing era, character depth, social issues, and music to create a very fine experience.
All right. Number two,
The King of Staten Island. This is one of the films from Judd Apatow. Judd Apatow is one of those directors that knows how to blend genres, and he knows how to blend realism, comedy, and heart in his story. Sometimes it doesn't always work, but this is what I call a return to form film. And it focuses on a character that is trying to find his place in this world, and it's just a very down-to-earth kind of experience, but with a few chuckles here and there.
All right. And number one,
it's is on Disney Plus. It's the latest from Pixar, and that's Soul. Disney Pixar is a studio that makes great animated films, but one thing that is for sure and for certain is that a lot of their films go past the animation and become just great films overall. And I think Soul is one of those prime films that hits at the importance of one experience, gives a great tale of escape, and it anchors a very strong human story. Because it clashes with questions of what is it that makes you, and also lays the foundation of purpose, growth, and the simple pleasures of life. And it elevates within its originality and strikes strong between being a great adult film while also being a great kids film. And it's one film where I cried 3 times in this film. So when it makes you cry at least 3 times, it's going to hit my top spot.
I'm working my way through it. I actually had to pause it, stop it, because it wasn't holding my attention. But I will endeavor to complete this film to give you my opinions and thoughts on it at a future date.
Oh yeah, like I said, everybody that it's give or take, but Soul just hit me at a perfect spot. It's one of those films that kind of sneaks up on you and just catches you off guard.
So far from what I've seen of it, I really like the jazz bit, the music scene, and the whole trying to chase your dream and see how that stuff plays itself out. But
yeah,
we'll get into that.
Oh yeah.
But there's our top 10. There's Ry's top 10 for 2020. As I said, most of these are available on Netflix.
Most of them.
You can check them out there, and then others through other on-demand services. So now we covered that. Let's get into a new film that we both have an opinion on.
Opinions that we do.
That button. And that is The Midnight Sky with George Clooney.
Yes, sir.
This one is on Netflix.
Yes, it is.
And I saw this one last week. We were going to talk about it last Tuesday, but didn't quite get to there. But we are going to talk about it this week because I actually found it a really great film, especially after what I just was going through. It really was a nice kind of film to watch and really take in. Rye, go ahead and give us your review on that.
All right, The Midnight Sky, another Netflix original. There's a theme this podcast. It is a film starring George Clooney and directed by George Clooney. He's done quite a films in the past, and this is no exception. And it focuses on a lone scientist who is trying to survive the aftermath of an unknown global disaster. He is stationed in research station in the Arctic. His name is Augustine, and it focuses on his journey on trying to survive the Arctic alone, kinda, but also it parallels another journey of scientists and astronauts that are coming back from a mission from a moon on Jupiter, and basically it focuses on a back and forth on Augustine trying to contact these astronauts to let them know, and the astronauts trying to figure out if they should come back to Earth or not. This film is a very slow moving, narrative driven kind of film. It's a pseudo sci-fi film, but I think it's more of a methodical character study. The great thing that I liked about this film is that it left the disaster to the unknown. You don't really know what happened. You get hints of it, there radiation's involved or not. But when a film leaves it ambiguous, it can be a hit or miss. And in this film, it was a hit because the focus isn't much on the global disaster. It's just the aftermath of that. And then you get to see the reflection of Augustine in the present through some of the past, some of his past position through some convenient flashbacks. Emphasis on convenient because they happen at specific moments to, re-emphasize there is some kind of connection between Augustine and these astronauts. The gravitas of this film is within the minimalistic directive, and it gives girth to the backstory and also the unknown. When you watch this first half of the film, it's very much focused on Augustine. He's trying to live, he's trying to survive. He has terminal cancer, I believe. And then he starts to having to survive the wilderness of the Arctic, or the coldness of the Arctic, because there's not really much of a wilderness up there. But he comes across a girl. I'm going to leave it to that with the girl, and then flip it to the space story. Once the astronauts come into play, it becomes a back and forth mission of what these both parties trying to contact each other to find the truth of the situation. And then what happens is that all the greatness that I enjoyed of this film kind of gets lost in its own potential. The back and forth narrative just showcases certain character motifs but doesn't really explain anything, so it has this little lostness feel. And then once it gets into the climax, then I kind of saw it coming. I kind of saw the twists that happened at the end, and even though I knew what was going to happen at the end with the twist, that wasn't what that took off the mystified feeling of the film in the beginning. It was just it felt like a forced pull to try to give emotion to a story that didn't really need it because it was already building it with a lot of stuff focused on the character. So overall, I think it had a very great beginning. It had a very strong character focus. Once it started doing the back and forth, it kind of got lost in the potential, and it was that twist near the end that kind of blew it for me. Your thoughts?
I thought it was a great film. I mean, it's been a while for me to watch a George Clooney film. And this one, given that I was just going through a personal loss, the fact that the story, you have Augustine, who is pretty much, kind of waiting to die.
Yeah.
And in that wait, he decides to make an effort to contact this mission, which he was a part of, in the sense that he, being an astronomer, had theorized and found evidence that one of these moons around Jupiter would support life.
Yeah.
So this was an exploratory mission to check out the planet and to see if it was viable for habitation. So they were on their way back with their results. In that time frame, whatever happened to the global climate had changed to the point that it was the end. It was the end. So, and unlike previous ones where you have this really human-driven story on the planet to either try to stop the apocalypse, or, how is it you're going to survive even though it's coming? This one, we don't focus on that. We focus on this whole effort of finding purpose in your life and then executing that purpose. And there are great set pieces. There are great dialogue bits. You're right. It doesn't go into a lot of detail about the who, what, where, when, and how everything is coming to an end.
Yeah.
It's focusing on, okay, this group of astronauts is trying to get back. But some of the tension with their trip is the fact that without mission control, without the infrastructure that we have for the space program, anybody coming back on these missions with the current technology is at a disadvantage.
Yes.
And it showcases that in some of the tension with the ship coming back, because they were so dependent on the communications from Earth that without those, they were literally flying blind through the solar system.
Yeah, they literally go through a part where there's like, I don't think we should, and yeah.
It's not been mapped. We don't know. Well,
let's just do it.
But the story is really great. There's a great bit at the end where all of a sudden it all comes full circle, and it fills in all of those gaps, and the payoff is really good, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's where it for a lot of people, it's either going to hit really well or it's just going to fall flat. And it kind of fell flat for me because I think it took away from the lostness and trying to find purpose by trying to I'm not going to say it, but what they did. I think it kind of took away from that mysticism of the personal journey of Augustine and of Felicity Jones' character Sully in space, trying to guide this crew. But it still was a fun film. I still think it's enjoyable. It's a good sci-fi film. Another. There's a lot of great scenes, like you said, a lot of great set pieces in this film. Clooney knows how to direct. He knows how to put shots together. But overall, even with how it panned out for me, it still was enjoyable. 3 out of 5.
I'm giving it a better thought. I'm thinking it's more of a 4.5 out of 5. Because I think I believe it's a really good film, and the parts that are lacking are, to me, not as important as the overall story and the overall intent of the story. So, of inspiration and motivation, all of that. So I'm calling it a 4.5 out of 5.
Yep.
So,
but hey, it's on Netflix, so check it out, watch it, let us know.
Totally check that out on Netflix. And our last review for tonight is one I have not had a chance to see yet, but I'm hoping to see it in the near future.
It goes on demand on Friday, I believe. So
I'll be keeping an eye out for that. And that is The News of the World.
Yes, sir. News of the World.
Latest
What world?
Tom Hanks film.
Tom Hanks Western. I think this is his first Western, Scoob. I think.
Oh, no.
I have to look through it, but somebody mentioned to me that it might be his first Western. But anyways, it's a Tom Hanks film. It's a Western. Count me in. So.
Okay. So, it's a Western. It's Tom Hanks. It is pre-internet.
Yes, very pre-internet. Pre-internet is. Good one there. No, what was I going to say? I don't even know.
All right, score 1 for me.
Score 1 for the
Derailed Rye from his thoughts.
You always get one. There's the one.
I might get a few more.
Yeah, there's plenty more times to get me. But anyways, News of the World is the next film from Tom Hanks, starring Tom Hanks and directed by Paul Greengrass. If that name rings any bell, he's the one behind the Bourne films. So Paul Greengrass directs this a Tom Hanks led film, and he plays in the role of Captain Kidd, and it takes place a few years after the Civil War, and Captain Kidd is traveling around the Texas plains delivering news to all the towns out on the plains, because they're kind of out there. And along his journey, he comes across a young girl, an abandoned girl by the name of Johanna. And the unique thing about this in their relationship is that Johanna, when he finds her, she can't speak a lick of English, and that's because she was taken from her family and raised by the natives. So
Native Americans, by the way.
Yeah, Native Americans. So what you have here is an unexpected path together of an unlikely pairing of a Civil War vet and a young girl who is kind of lost between two worlds, and he decides to take this girl back to the last living relatives that she has in Texas, and it focuses on their journey, and that's pretty much what the film entails. Emphasis on the fact that I mentioned this is a Western, and on the foundational service, this is a Western to a T. like the three foundational pieces that you find in westerns are its slow methodical pacing, its character oriented journey, and its atmospheric world building. And what Paul Greengrass does is he lays that foundation, and but he stays, while staying true to those elements, he levels it with rawness of humanistic fervor. So if you've ever seen any of Paul Greengrass films, there's a very realistic motif to the way he directs and focuses on stuff, and he does a great job in taking this linear journey that is very beat by beat a western, from all the characters, the clashes with the natives and some of the bandits on the Texas plains, but he brings a very realistic motif that brings worth to the solemn. And it's because of the great characters and the relationship between Captain Kidd and Johanna, and watching how they deal with tides of consequence. There's very, very strong contrast of indifference between these two individuals because of their past, and the film, because of that slow methodical pacing, lifts the veil on their backstory slowly. And that is a good thing, because with it being a very slow film, it's a slow maturation, and you start to get this healing of the characters through situational moments, and it allows the audiences to gravitate to the genuine escape of this film. While as the relationship grows and it gets into the second half of the film, certain situations test their will, and even if it becomes very predictable with how it ends up, it's that humanistic fervor, that humanistic detail that Tom Hanks brings to the character. And this young girl, her name is Helena Zengel, in the role of Johanna. It's such unlikely pairing, but one that warms you up to understanding of coming to terms with the past, understanding what fate and circumstance may weave for you, and where the obviousness is poignant and real. Like, these characters know that what they really need is each other, and it's not really giving away anything, but it's pretty obvious, but it's very poignant. So once it comes full circle, it gives you that ultimate sense of truth, and even if it's predictable by the T, the climax provides a wholesome lift above its foundational elements. Questions, Scoop?
No. Honestly,
it's a very strong western. It's very predictable, but it's very good.
Well, if you've watched a lot of Tom Hanks' stuff over the last 5 years, the stories are all about that kind of drama and emotional journey.
Oh yeah,
the journey of an individual across distance. So I'm looking forward to checking this out, because it's been a while to watch a western, and if this is his first western, cool. I think but I like how this is talking. The whole premise of this one is not the lone gunman.
No,
not the gunslinger. This is not the person looking. This is not any of those things. This is a guy who is trying to do essentially a public service, because this is an era where the telegraph is the only means of communication outside of mail.
Yeah.
And the Pony Express. This asks the question. It's like, back when we didn't have the internet, where if somebody blew their nose in San Jose, California, somebody in Boston could read about it on their Twitter feed.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have that in that time. And it's nice to see, okay, yes, the news is a little old by the time he gets it out there, but the fact that he goes from town to town and reads the news to inform people of what's going on in the country and the world, and then happens to come across this, and then decides to take it upon himself to do something he believes is good, which is get this girl who's been lost for several years back to her family. And so I'm sure there are a lot more bits in that story I want to check out, so I can't wait to watch this.
Yeah, it's his first western.
I probably will look it up on demand when it comes out.
Oh yeah,
so.
It's definitely a wonderful treat, and like you said, it's not that lone gunman. It strips back all the typical cliches. It has those three foundational elements, but Paul Greengrass brings out that human element with Tom Hanks as the central figure. And so overall, it's a great film. If you like Tom Hanks, if you like westerns, if you like character journeys, I definitely say check it out. It's still in theaters, but it will be on demand soon. But yeah, ever so 3.5 out of 5. It's definitely a fun time at the theaters.
Yeah.
And it is his first western, people. I did look through his filmography.
Oh, interesting. Well, good to know. Alrighty.
If you want to check out the other reviews, check out my website.
Yes, go check out ryreviews.com to check out those reviews and see what he's been working on.
Oh, yeah. I got reviews for Soul, Wonder Woman, Monster Hunter, and Promising Young Woman. Saw what I did there, Scoob? We saw that movie. You know what? You know what's up.
Moving on.
Moving on, people. Moving on.
Alrighty. So now we can talk a little bit about State of Game. And while I haven't been doing a whole lot of video game playing, I have done a little bit of video game playing.
And I've done a lot of video game play.
Well, you're always doing a lot of video game.
4 a.m.
One of my goals for 2021 is to play more games.
And I will help you with that. I think. Maybe. I don't know.
We'll work it out.
Yeah,
we'll work it out. So State of Game, which we talk about various games and game related topics for the studio and beyond, those kind of things. And as always, we start with video games first. Rye, what is that new game you finally decided to put into your PlayStation and start playing?
New game that I decided to put in the PlayStation, actually, it was a Christmas gift to myself, pat on the back. Spider-Man Miles Morales. I decided to pop it in and play a little bit today, and even though I haven't played the Spider-Man game in a long time, the controls are still there. The game is still beautiful. I only got through the opening sequence, so I don't know much, but I definitely going to have fun swinging around New York City again, but this time as Miles Morales.
Yes, that's solid. That story is pretty solid. I'm looking forward to getting my turn to play that.
Yes, sir. But the bulk of my gaming has been in 2 other games.
Let's see. That would be England in the time of the Vikings.
The Vikings, yes. I have finished the main portion of AC Valhalla. I have conquered all of England but one place. And finished the main story. So I got to go through all those cinematics that you told me about, Scuba. And it's very fascinating on where it ends and how it, slight spoiler, whatever, flips the protagonist.
A little bit.
I'm not going to say what or who, but the protagonist is flipped in a way. And I'm looking forward to finishing the game and getting all the awesome weapons like Thor's hammer, Odin's spear, Excalibur, and then getting the Hidden Truth cinematic. I have watched it online, but I want to get it. So I want to get all the pieces of the anomalies and put it together.
I'm staying away from the story till I work my way through it.
But overall, Valhalla has been a fun, enjoyable experience. I'm still going back in my head if this current trilogy of Assassin's Creed, if Origins is still my favorite or Valhalla has taken the reign. But I can say that I have enjoyed Valhalla's story more than Origins. Because, like you said, this is the farthest away from an Assassin's Creed game that it's been, and it's very true. And it's very much a story of Ivar, the Vikings, and that time in England. And I appreciate how they made you care for every single character in the game. Every single character in the game you cared about. Everyone you came across in the story and stuff. So when there was deaths, when you had to make choices, it felt real, it felt raw. You didn't just make choices because, oh yeah, I should choose this because it's the right thing.
Which is funny because there's a lot of criticism for Valhalla and the fact that the side characters and secondary characters aren't as developed and meaningful as in previous installments. This one, they seem kind of, they're there, but they're not as integral as some of the previous entries into the franchise.
I think you hit the nail on the noggin where you says integral, and the fact that these stories were separate from the assassin lore, but still played a major part in what happens in the assassin lineage.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
or that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it's curious to see again various work on the as far as
Oh yeah.
how that's being perceived.
Oh yeah.
So, and the other game, of course, is Night City.
Night City.
And
Uh,
I actually jumped back in after some of the patch updates, and Night City is still a wild, crazy ride. Um, I think I spent like 10 minutes there and had a decent time, even though I wasn't eating much. But you've obviously put more time into Night.
I have
So,
dived a lot more in Time City, Night City, not Time City, but Cyberpunk. I have not hit any of those funny and hilarious bugs I have seen online. I'm not gonna lie, some of them are hilarious. But you know, it is a big game, so you know it has its glitches here and there, but it hasn't deterred me from enjoying the game and experiencing the game and going in depth with the side missions. Like literally, I have only been doing the side missions. I've touched on the main story here and there, but I have just been traversing Night City, just doing all this other stuff, you know, and building up my character, getting different different outfits, different stuff to put on. But what I've been enjoying is, you know, leveling up my weapons, coming across all the different interesting characters in Night City, and some of the storylines and some of the quests that have drove me to some laugh out loud moments, some intriguing interactions, a motel scene that I can only describe to you off the mic, which I did, which you know what I'm talking about when I say the motel scene. But overall, I am seeing the effects of decision. I've not seen a game as decision heavy and integral into the game as much as this game. I think the last time where decisions really had a major impact was another one that CD Projekt Red did, The Witcher 3. I also have Watchdog Legions. I've completely forgotten I had that game, and probably will keep forgetting that I have that game, because Cyberpunk is taking over my life, and Miles Morales is about to do that. So I am definitely going to dive into more Cyberpunk this weekend.
good.
Definitely another few 4 a.m.s, 4:30 a.m.s,
Oh, Lord.
5 a.m.s. Because if I don't have to wake up the next day, why?
That's fair.
I game at night, just not because, you know, I'm off, but you know, everybody's asleep, nobody's bothering me, and I can just play, keep the volume down low, and have the big 65-inch with the motel scene. That was fun. Watching that motel scene. I am great that I had to experience that motel scene at night with everybody asleep, so they didn't see the fun that happened in the motel. But overall, I think the game is great outside of the glitches. Obviously, not as major as the ones I've seen online, but I'm definitely going to enjoy it, and I'm definitely going to enjoy it whenever I can get my hold of a Series X.
Yeah, that'll be one of the things I look forward to. Oh, I have a different game I can talk about playing.
Hades?
No,
Oh, I plan on picking up that.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah.
I actually picked up the PC version of Monster Hunter World Iceborne.
How's that?
Lots of fun, because unlike when I did this on the Xbox back when it first released, and it was just Monster Hunter World, I'm actually jumped on it for PC to play with some friends to kind of work through now that the game has had its final patch. So it's got all of the content, everything they have, as we wait till the next Monster Hunter release, which I believe is going to be out on Switch.
Monster Hunter Rise,
yes,
I think.
Rise. But it was fun getting back into it. It was fun to try and learn how to play a game on keyboard and mouse. I'm spoiled in the fact I'm very used to using controllers when playing video games. Not a whole lot outside of the RTSs with keyboard and mouse. So that had a bit of a learning curve, but I was having fun using weapons I hadn't used before.
I know, I'm reading May's comment. Don't pay attention.
Oh yeah. But yeah, it was it was fun playing that with a few of my friends. We did a game. We did a game of Small World, the board game via digital through Steam, and then of course I was convinced to play Among Us a couple of times.
That game is fun.
It is fun. Now one of the people who invited me to playing a game with her, she seemed to convince everyone else in her crew that invited me to play that I should be thrown out of the airlock at every possible instance.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Who shall you speak of?
I'm not going to mention her by name, but she knows who she is. I see you.
I see
I
you
know
too.
Who you are. You know who you are.
We all know who you are.
But I got around it because I got my son to play and they threw him out of the airlock. So I got saved for a round.
A round. Just one round.
Oh. And then a bunch of us played as we were all kind of lamenting our loss and decided to just jump in with a group of 10 and play Among Us for a little while. And that was decent too. I think I got a decent kill count before they threw me out of the airlock.
Yeah. Hey, at least you got a little punches in.
I got a few in. But that was the extent of my video game stuff for the last few weeks. Gonna do more going forward. Aside from, dive back into some Minecraft while I was kind of doing. I tend to start a Minecraft world right around Christmas to kind of just work through that, just kind of detox and let my kind of creativity go. But see how that rolls. But after video games, there's the whole role play and Dungeons and Dragons stuff. And I have to say the biggest thing for that is actually getting the World Anvil started, which if you're not familiar with World Anvil is a storyteller's platform. Whether you're a game master or a novelist and you are trying to develop a world to write about for your stories or use them in game tracking, this is one of those resources that you can do that is a rabbit hole and a half to kind of see what's up. If you want to check out the world I've created, it's called Kofin. That new command will work. Not, I understand. Yep, there it is. That is I've just put the link in the chat. It's called, you can go to that page in World Anvil and give it a follow if you're curious to see what's going on. You can set up timelines, characters. For a dungeon master, a game master planning a game, I can have all of my player characters create using a free account, create their character and link them to the campaign and the world, so we then can see how they develop. Now you can go full on and do all your stat building and everything in there, or what we're going to use, since I use D&D Beyond for all my character tracking, is just links to their D&D Beyond characters. But we can start peppering in lore bits, a timeline. Some of the first challenges I had for this is coming up with a world name. I'm not going to tell you what Kofin means, because I feel that if you want to know what Kofin means, then you need to pay attention to me and it's a deep cut lore bit as far as me as a person and where that came from. So if you figure it out, great. If not, maybe you could convince me to tell you about it on an AMA through Patreon at some point. But for the most part, that is what it is. It is going to be where I take the inspirations from D&D on various other platforms and meld them into a world. Working on a world map right now, and it looks glorious so far. I can't wait for y'all to see it, but we'll be doing map tracking and lore bits and timeline. I'm going to utilize a similar time calendar year as what Wizards of the Coast uses for D&D, specifically Faerun, which is a 10-day calendar. A 10 day is a week. There are 3 weeks in a month. There are 12 months in a year. That's how this works. Nice and simple and round numbers. Every 4 years you have an extra day, but hey, celestial solar systems. What can I say? But this doesn't apply to just fantasy settings. You could use this to do a futuristic setting. You could do this to do a ancient times thing, space, whatever. On what I'm looking at is more of a second world style. I take event kind of like a multiverse thing where it's like you have some locations in another world on another universe, and they're similar but they diverge a little bit. Mine is going to be diverging more into my style, my thought process, and some of the things that I'd laid the groundwork in talking with players and justifying why when I have players make characters, they can use any of the published materials out of Wizards of the Coast. So we have Eberron Tech and Faerun. That's how it can justify Warforge and all of those character builds that are specific to the Eberron story. Going to be doing more of that and developing more of that. And right now, the setting that timeline. And so it's, as a creator, this has really kind of been that influx of endorphin to get creating. And so I'm going to be really excited as I get more articles built. There was a rabbit hole I fell into the other day where it's like, oh, okay, here's this building, the Twilight Mansion. Okay, well, I thought I had to do an article where I explained every room, but then I found out I can do separate articles for each room and then link them all to each other to let you know, hey, if I walk into this room, this is what I see, and this room is connected to that room, which is connected to that room. So all that stuff. NPCs, all these bits. Now, the nice thing is tying this in with Patreon is the fact that at certain tiers, you could see certain bits of lore that are exclusive access to that. And you could sort of be considered a subscriber to that World Anvil world. I'm hoping that we can expand the World Anvil to allow more subscribers and whatnot, but that's going to take time. I managed to get the subscription I got when they were having an anniversary sale. And really frustrating is New Year's Eve, after New Year's, they had a 4-hour flash sale. You could upgrade your account to their highest tier for half the price. And I was like, bummer. I can't do that just yet, but I'm hoping I can do it later. We will see what happens. But going to be diving into writing. With that, I actually picked up a book. Yes, I do read. Stop judging me.
Maybe.
Okay. Picked up a book. It's called Collaborative World Building for Writers and Gamers and Game Masters. It talks about this whole concept of having the collaborative storytelling, which is one of the things I love about Dungeons and Dragons.
Yep.
Is a collaborative thing. So with this is like trying to work, how do you work with a team and bring all those ideas in? Because all of my players help to develop the world. All that feedback can come in there to help develop this world. And I want this to be a living world that stretches across multiple mediums. Whether it's, if we ever get that RP going on the Discord server that we had talked about doing, that is currently in the backlog somewhere in a dark corner, or the fact that whether they're a game I play off stream or a game I play on stream and how they all interconnect to each other, this is going to be that location. Find out the various reports and plannings and see what affects what and who affects who's all of that stuff. So really great resource. So I'll probably be talking more about that as we go on. But if you want to check it out, the link is in the chat. Go check it out. Give it a follow. That way you can get notifications. There's a specific channel on the Discord that is for World Anvil related updates, where every time I have an article that's ready and I feel ready is published, notification will go in there and all the things, all those great things. That has been the bulk of what I've been doing for D&D. I do have some new books that have come into my collection that I will be perusing through. Also some new games I'd like to try and look at. Like somebody gave me the idea about streaming a Warhammer table game. I consider doing that. I'd like to get together. I'd like to maybe either as a one shot or as a fun, just do a Shadowrun adventure that again ties into all of this. Should be loads of fun. So it'd be kind of funny if you're a D&D character and you walk through a portal and all of a sudden you wind up in a modern city with technology and magic. Yeah, what could go wrong? Uh-oh.
No, I'm just looking at the chat.
Looking at the chat? Oh yeah, gotta love the chat.
Some good conversation going on in there.
Oh yeah, Audible. Picked up some books on Audible too. Audible is a great resource.
It is a great resource. I should try to use it one day. Not today though.
Uh,
One day.
Yep. Yeah, the new 6th edition stuff came out. I've got quite a bit of resources now to look through. It's gonna take me a little bit to look through, but I would like to do a Shadowrun one shot maybe, or something like that in the future. We'll see how it goes. Depends on what resources I have available to pull that kind of thing off, because I want to do it right, and it takes resources to do this stuff. So hey, let's do with what we got and keep moving forward. And with that, that is it for State of Game. We do have a couple of news things to talk about. We are 15 minutes in.
We started a little bit late.
A little bit late?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Yeah, kind of rambling on as our first show of 2021.
Yeah.
We got all this extra stuff going.
Oh yeah, but it happens usually, you know.
All right, real quick. Oh, Quillith.
Welcome.
Alrighty. Okay, so let's see. We got a couple of news pieces. We got first one here. This is actually, I think with as late we are, maybe we should skip on to odds and ends. What do you think?
It's up to you, boss. You tell me.
All right, I think we're gonna hit up our odds and ends, and we'll touch on some of this stuff later, short form or whatnot. Because we are gonna bring back the Patreon exclusive show in the near future. I just have to work that out real quick. So hey, work in progress. Gotta love it. But let's hit up our odds and ends.
Oddies and endies. The return.
The return of odds and ends. I've got some stories for you.
And I will.
This is the one I didn't flip. The one I knew there was one I'd missed. All right, I'll fix it later. Odds and ends. Part where we talk about random internet stories that we find that just make you go,
Na 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 na.
So let's go with our first one.
It's kind of crispy.
A little bit, as long as you like fried chicken. You like fried chicken?
Yes, I do.
I'm sure you might have heard of this.
I can't get the link.
How about a game console from KFC that runs video games with the new Intel chip and also keeps your chicken warm for when you get that snack craving while you're playing?
Oh yeah. So
I heard about this from my friends the other night, and I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" Like, nope, it's a thing. It is a game console with a fried chicken warmer.
Yes.
From KFC.
Oh yeah. So from this article, I was trying to share it, wouldn't let me share it on tomshardware.com. They talk about this console being made for KFC and promised it was originally promised on November 12th, but you know, it's taking a little bit longer. So when asked Cooler Master for KFC's console full recipe, a rep would only tell us that it's, quote, Intel NUC9 Extreme element as its core with a modified Cooler Master case NC100, end quote, and a couple other tech bites. But just an interesting fact, it's a console made by a chicken maker.
No, it's a fast food retailer who made a technology console. I mean, this is crazy.
Yes, it's very crazy, very funny, and kind of hilarious. And actually, the fact that it's actually going to be real, you know. I managed to get the link in the chat, so if you want to check it out, there you go.
Chicken war, really?
Hey, you know, you can play Cyberpunk Steamy now. Do.
But considering what KFC has done over the years,
yes,
this is not overly surprising. I mean, come on, we have the disastrous no bun chicken sandwich where the bone and then we had the fact that they started doing like the donut sandwich, and now there's, all right, these food things are really off the wall and weird, let's try something completely different. And we know people like to play video games. We know they're going to play a lot of video games. Hey, let's help them keep their food warm while they're playing video games.
Oh yeah, you know, KFC's got computers. They've got, you know, scented logs. They have a Japanese romance game.
Nope.
KFC
Nope.
has no bounds.
Nope. Nope.
KFC has no bounds, people.
No.
I still like their chicken.
The Wendy's role playing game. I don't remember that one, but I'll have to look that up sometime.
Twirl the hair, twirl the hair.
Oh boy, as long as it's got its 11 herbs and spices. Let's move on.
Spices.
All right, here's something interesting and this is me as a collector.
Oh yeah.
My wife has been a big Pokemon.
Gotta
I've been
catch 'em all.
fairly good trading card collector. And I know friends that have collected things. And this story is one of those ones that if I had known who I know, I would think this is completely wild and crazy.
But knowing who we know,
this is not wild and crazy. This is a story about a student who sold enough Pokemon cards from his collection to cover his college tuition.
not just college tuition, but graduate school.
Grad school. And then now if you're thinking, what kind of grad school are we talking about? This dude's studying to be a doctor.
Yes. And trust me, as a person going through grad school, just to get his master's in English costs a lot. He's going to be what again?
He's, I want to say a neurosurgeon.
The junior at University of North Georgia transformed his childhood passion into an investment for an eventual medical school. So medical school.
Yeah, he's looking at medical school. Not, I think it says in there, but the fact that he funded the school by selling his Pokemon cards.
Yes.
$80,000 worth.
Yep.
$80,000 US in Pokemon cards to cover grad school.
Yeah, it is daunting. Not the fact to imagine how he managed to pay with cards, but it just shows the value of just one
Of some of the cards, yeah. Well, I mean, collectors, you collect something, as long as there's somebody who wants it, that you've got a means to barter. Now, if you think this is kind of, for me, I read this and I was like, it's legit.
It is legit. You know people, I know people, we all know people.
I have one of my best friends. This is a guy I consider like a brother, right? He and I did Boy Scouts. He collected the patches. Yeah. And if you're familiar on the Boy Scout side, when you get to the Order of the Arrow, do some of those events, you get to patch collecting, right? Of the various councils and everything else. Patches are a thing. Patches are a big thing. He has paid for things by trading patches. So for me, this is like, I could see if knowing him and knowing he did it. We give him a hard time every so often for the fact that, dude, you bought a card by trading like a bunch of patches. Yep. And then see this story, it's like legit.
It is legit. And
totally legit. The fact that Pokemon is still such a big moneymaker, as a brand, and with the trading card game, totally cool. But I think it's really great how, someone took care of their stuff enough that they were able to do this. And the fact that there was enough of the fact that there's still a thriving enough market that this was a thing that could be done.
Oh yeah, it is. It's kind of funny. It's funny, but it's a testament to this kid that says like, hey, this is going to be worth something someday. It's not just a phenomenon. It has value. And just to quote his mother from the article, Tammy King, my husband says, oh my gosh, maybe I should have given him some money to put into Pokemon cards. But yeah, I'm proud of him. I'm proud of who he is. I'm proud of his character, his drive. So, he wants to be the very best. Yes.
He's got to catch them all.
Yeah.
Speaking of things in medical science, let's talk about let's go from the happy to the oh my gosh,
we're about to conquer the world.
Well, every so often we got to do our Skynet type of story. This one is no different. This is an article, France and China developing biologically engineered super soldiers.
Yes, as reported in the New York Post, what it says is basically says after China came out and said they're developing biologically enhanced super soldiers, France has joined the fray in creating Terminator troops that can be bred to kill, according to new reports. Quotes. France gave the go-ahead for augmented soldiers, and some fear the super troopers could be the new norm in the recent future. End quote.
Have you not watched your movies?
Movies have some truth to it, even if it seems fantastical. On
the same token, they probably inspired to try and make this plausible. But I mean, this is one of those things. It's like I have ethical issues with parts of this.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's interesting in here, and it talks about manipulating DNA.
Which we've seen that in the scientific community for a while. I mean, they were talking about finding a way to dial back the genetic markers to bring about dinosaurs again by rolling back like chicken DNA and reactivating certain recessive genes that are now dormant because evolutionarily they're not needed anymore. And now, on the one hand, I think this is kind of interesting because we're moving into like those bits where it's like you have soldiers that have lost limbs and whatnot, and being able to replenish those through augmentation to allow them to continue to serve even after losing limbs is great. But some of this other stuff, it's like, okay, now we're like, all right, we're not going to put the random person as a soldier out on the battlefield. We're going to breed someone specific for this. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not going to continue to connect the dots, but I know you can see where this could end up going. We have seen many representations on this through sci-fi literature and sci-fi stories that says in every scenario, this does not end well.
Yep, and just to add credence to what you're saying, Michael Clark, the visiting professor in war studies at King's College London, quote, "We've reached the point now where we could potentially manipulate people's DNA to breed into them extra strength, endurance, and other things just as we do with animals," end quote.
Yes, and the reverse is true. Who's to say you don't do that to try and, well, certain things.
There's always a positive to it, but whenever you try to do something positive, somebody always tries to flip it for another degree of no.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the things that they're aiming to, what they call Homo robocopus, is brain microchips, bionic eyes, super hearing, health implants, enhanced limbs, and exoskeleton legs, just to name a few.
On the one hand, it's interesting for the technology, but obviously there's a moral and ethical issue with this.
Yes.
The fact that when you start to get to this point, how crazy it is. But we're also talking about, we're all in the cyberpunk and this future where it's like, cool, I could go and get mantis blades because I think they're cool. Or, hey, I've lost an arm, let me put on a new arm.
Yeah.
And I can continue to operate with both arms. Or, when bionics become an elective surgery instead of a necessary surgery. We're starting to look at that cusp, I think.
So
it'd be interesting to see how this goes and to see what regulations are put in place to try and control this before it gets too far out of hand.
Yeah, it is going to be some kind of regulations. Whenever you have something new, you need to put some barriers in place. Try to, at least, I guess. But hey, I do like Cyberpunk, so what can I say? I do want that. I do want that extra speed. I do run marathons. But
about that.
But talk about speaking.
Yeah, let's talk about speaking. Let's talk about let's talk about a different type of augmentation. That might be a little more fun.
A little bit more fun, and
I don't have a bit for that, but that's okay.
But this is the first odds and ends of 2021, actually. Article is from January 12th, 2021.
Okay, so it's a new article we'll talk about, and that is an article I found literally as we were prepping for tonight.
I put it in the chat.
So it is a South Korean firm creates a dog collar using AI technology that when the dog barks, he can tell you how he feels.
Oh yeah, reported through Reuters and posted on Yahoo News. A South Korean startup has developed an AI-powered dog collar that can detect 5 emotions in canines by monitoring their barks using voice recognition technology, end quote. Some of the interesting stuff in here, the company began gathering different types in 2017. 3 years later, quote, developed a proprietary algorithm based on a database of more than 10,000 samples from 50 breeds of dogs, end quote. Bark bark, Scuba?
Sorry, you don't have one of those collars on, so I can't tell if you're happy, sad, or hungry.
Bark bark. This is kind of a
whole new dimension of the Lassie joke.
Oh yeah. They're also saying according to Seoul National University, it has a 90% average accuracy rate of emotional recognition, and they're marketing the collar online in October of last year at $99 Korean. So I don't know what that translates to US dollars.
I'm about to figure that.
But it's just interesting.
It is. It is a little interesting. I mean, we see the good and the bad and the stuff that makes you go, wait, what? And then the stuff that's like, this is kind of cool. I mean,
bark, bark. I'm plotting against you, Scoo. Apparently, I'm about to stick this collar on and you'll never be able to understand me.
Oh.
I have a variety of emotions it won't detect.
I think we all do, especially right now with...
You know...
I mean, there have been so many things in the news lately with COVID. Looks like it's coming back with a vengeance. I mean, I remember I had a cousin post a meme. Or no, it wasn't a meme. It was a comment where she's like, look, I have my 7-day free trial of 2021. I don't want it. I want to cancel my 2021 subscription. And I was like, yeah, that's legit. Because apparently in less than 2 weeks into the new year, things are just going full tilt crazy.
Yes, people are going crazy, but hey, there's still light at the end of the tunnel somewhere.
I'm hoping so. I'm really hoping so. But we'll talk about that more at a later date.
Yes, sir.
Here it is. We've come to the end. Thank you, everyone, for being in the chat.
Thank you,
everyone who has watched. If you like what we have been doing and talking about, please hit the like button. If you want to catch us on more things, hit the subscribe, hit the little bell notification so you can be notified when we come back. Quick recap on things. Twitch.tv/Scuba Studio. Saturday morning, 10 a.m. is Shadow Watch returning. Knee deep in the middle of battle. See what's going on with them. Sunday morning, 12 p.m. Eastern, here on YouTube, live stream Sunday with Scoob. We'll be working on another miniature, finishing up one and starting another. What miniature it is, I don't know. I have a lot to pick through to figure out. And then next Tuesday, we'll be back with Scuba and The RY podcast again. And on the 23rd, we have Challenge Accepted coming back for season 3. Don't know what they're doing yet. Don't know where they're going yet. But I have a cast. They're excited. Old faces, new faces. We'll see what happens. And if you want to support the studio, you can support the studio through a variety of means. We have merch through Teespring. There's a Teespring store that is up. There should be a link that's been popping in the chat. And in the description, we have the Stream Elements merch store where you can still get the big giant gaming mouse pad. But if you want t-shirts and masks and all those other goodies, you can go to that Teespring merch store. If you want to support another ways you can support the studios, join us on Patreon. It's trying to grow that up, get that moving. We got a few patrons, want to get more, want to give a shout out to those patrons as we continue to grow and do things, plus have more exclusive things that'll be Patreon only. I try to do a weekly update. I think I'm gonna do one here soon. With that, you can get extra access on our Discord. We do have a wonderful Discord server. You can also donate directly to the studio. There's a link down in the description. You can just click on that, do a donation via PayPal. Everything helps. Keep the studio lights on. Keep me doing this and not going out to try and find a job in the middle of COVID. But that's another thing. Continue to grow, continue to expand, continue to make content for you guys and share my unique warped view of the world. And rye too. Gotta have more rye.
Yeah, more rye. You know, rye adds a little flavor to the cusp. You know,
I
know.
mentioned this, rye, and I forgot. I gotta bring it up. I've got a box, which I will probably talk more about in. This box has some cool things I'm going to give away.
Uh-oh.
One of those things in this box is this box. This box I'm going to give away to patrons. I will run a giveaway for patrons. Once we get up to a certain amount, I will take a look at that, whether it's 50 or 100, see how it goes. But when we do set that off, we will be giving away this box of goodies to that patron. How did I get this box? Good question. I'm sure you want to know. Guess what? I will tell you next week when hopefully I have guests who sent me this box, and we can talk about this box and the other cool things they are doing on Kickstarter. So there's my tidbit and teaser for you. No, I'm not. If you want to keep asking me what's in the box, keep asking me what's in the box. Keep throwing those memes. Guess what? I'm not telling you till next week.
Next week, people.
So with that, thank you again. Shout out and a thank you to the moderators in the chat. You guys are awesome and amazing. Thank you everyone for sticking around as we did our first podcast stream on YouTube for 2021.
YouTubes.
I was thinking this is kind of fun. You have fun, Ryan?
Yes, I did.
Did you have fun, chat?
I hope you did.
I hope so too. With that, we will see you on our next stream. Good night, everybody.
Peace.